Welcome back, everyone. Today we're unpacking a story that is honestly as awe-inspiring as it is deeply unsettling. We're looking at the life, the absolutely monumental scientific achievements, and the highly mysterious death of Dr. Carl Grillmair. He was a brilliant Caltech astrophysicist who spent decades exploring the furthest reaches of the stars, only to meet a tragic end right here on Earth. And it's an end that is now the subject of a massive, multi-agency federal probe.
Okay, let's dive right into this staggering paradox. On one hand, you have a man whose mind literally wandered through light years of space. We're talking about a guy who discovered water on distant planets and mapped out the ancient collisions of galaxies. But on the other hand, his journey ended abruptly in the quiet isolation of the Mojave Desert. The sheer contrast between his life's monumental work and his sudden, violent death is jarring, and, that's exactly what we are going to break down today in this explainer.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with Section 1, A Life Looking Upward. Then we'll dive deep into his career in Section 2, IPAC and Cosmic Discoveries. After that, we'll examine the facts in Section 3, the Llano Desert Tragedy. And finally, wrap up with Section 4, the NASA 9 connection.
Let's jump right into Section 1, A Life Looking Upward.
Before he was a world-renowned scientist, Carl Grillmair was just a kid from Canada with an absolute, unyielding fascination for the night sky. Born in Calgary back in 1959 to a family of mountaineering pioneers, Carl basically always aimed high. He secured his Bachelor of Science in Astrophysics from the University of Calgary in '83, and he actually graduated as the top student in physics. From there, his academic trajectory just went fully international. He earned his master's from the University of Victoria in '86, and then crossed the globe to get his PhD from the Australian National University in '93. This rock-solid global foundation really set the stage for what was going to be an incredible career.
Moving right along to Section 2, IPAC and Cosmic Discoveries.
By 1997, Carl had joined Caltech's Infrared Processing and Analysis Center, better known as IPAC. And wow, this is where his career truly exploded. One of his massive early contributions involves something called stellar streams. So what are those? They are literal arcs of streaking stars swirling around the outskirts of the Milky Way. Grillmair discovered dozens of these streams. By mapping out these remnants of ancient galactic collisions, he essentially provided crucial clues as to how our own barred spiral galaxy evolved over billions of years. He even helped trace the distribution of invisible dark matter. It's mind-blowing stuff.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how his peers saw him. His longtime IPAC colleague, Sergio Fajardo Acosta, totally nailed it when summarizing his genius, noting that Grillmair's methods were truly detective work, allowing him to infer events that took place many billions of years ago. Carl wasn't just casually observing the sky. He was interrogating it. He applied incredibly creative, completely unique methods to catalog data that literally no one else had even thought of before.
And that detective mindset? Well, it led to a historic breakthrough in 2007. Working as a principal investigator using NASA's Spitzer space telescope, Grillmair was the lead author on a landmark study. For the very first time ever, humanity captured enough light from exoplanets, planets outside our solar system, to actually identify the molecules in their atmospheres. They were studying a hot Jupiter, which is a gas giant orbiting super close to its star. But while this was groundbreaking in itself, there was one specific molecule they really hoped to find, but didn't quite get on that try.
But Grillmair, he persevered. Soon after, he made what his colleagues describe as a genuinely monumental discovery. He successfully detected signs of water on distant exoplanets. And as we all know, water is the ultimate telltale sign of conditions favorable to life. I mean, just think about that for a second. To look across the staggering abyss of deep space and find the chemical signature of water, that is a crowning achievement for humanity, and Carl Grillmair was the guy who helped lead us there.
All of this incredible work built a permanent legacy. Over a 4-decade career, he published 147 peer-reviewed papers, collaborated on the Hubble Space Telescope, and even worked on asteroid hunting missions. Because of his relentless ingenuity, in 2011 he was awarded the highly prestigious NASA Exceptional Scientific Achievement Medal. He was, undeniably, a total titan in his field. Which brings us to Section 3, the Llano Desert Tragedy. And this is where we have to shift our focus from his soaring cosmic achievements to the inexplicable violence that ended his life.
The contrast here is just jarring. Carl chose to live out in the extremely remote, unincorporated community of Llano in California's Antelope Valley. He loved it out there because the deep desert darkness gave him perfect skies for his personal home observatory. He spent his free time flying gliders, doing home repairs, and just looking up. But the peace of that isolation was shattered on Sunday, February 16, 2026. At around 6:10 in the morning, the 67-year-old astrophysicist was found fatally shot in the torso right on his own front porch.
The details leading up to this are highly disturbing because they reveal what looks like a preventable escalation. On December 2025, the suspect, 29-year-old Freddie Snyder, was caught trespassing on Grillmair's remote property carrying a loaded, unregistered rifle. Carl called the cops, and Snyder was arrested on a felony weapons charge. But get this, just 3 days later, a judge utilized California's Penal Code 1385, which allows judges to dismiss charges in the interest of justice, to release Snyder on his own recognizance. Less than 2 months later, Snyder allegedly returned, murdered Carl Grillmair, and committed a nearby carjacking.
And that leads us to our final part, Section 4, the NASA 9 connection.
So the crucial point is this. Was this just a tragic, isolated incident of a system failing to stop a dangerous individual? Or is there a broader context here? Because of his high-level clearances and his work alongside NASA and the Department of Defense, Carl's murder hasn't just stayed a local news story. It's been absorbed into a much larger and very complex national conversation.
Right now, the FBI is conducting a massive multi-agency probe into the deaths or disappearances of 11 to 12 scientists, and here's the link. All of these individuals engaged in sensitive research and held high-level security clearances. For example, just 2 months before Carl was killed, an highly acclaimed MIT nuclear physicist named Nuno Loureiro was shot and killed in his home by a former classmate. So the FBI is actively investigating to definitively determine whether these tragic events are actually connected in some way, or if this is simply a coincidental string of tragedies being fueled by rampant internet speculation.
Naturally, a string of deaths like this has caused a lot of alarm in Washington. U.S. Representative Tim Burchett publicly speculated that scientists with classified knowledge are, quote, afraid of being disappeared, strongly suggesting a cover-up. Now, it is vital to note here that we are strictly explaining what is being reported from all sides. While political figures are voicing deep suspicions of a targeted conspiracy, former FBI officials have explicitly stated that rampant online rumors are not helpful to investigators who are trying to objectively solve these very real, very tragic murders. The federal probe is currently working hard to sort the facts from the fiction.
But amidst all the federal investigations and these swirling internet theories, we really cannot lose sight of the man himself. Following his death, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors actually adjourned in his memory. Supervisor Catherine Barger perfectly summarized his legacy, stating, "His life's work expanded humanity's understanding of the universe. He wasn't just a talking point or a pawn in a conspiracy, he was an irreplaceable pioneer of astronomy."
A true cosmic detective, Carl Grillmair unlocked the ancient secrets of the stars, only to leave us with a devastating earthbound mystery. Was his death the result of a tragic judicial oversight, or is it a single data point in a much darker pattern that's currently under federal review? As the FBI probe continues, we're all left looking for answers. So what do you take away from this profound loss? Let us know your thoughts, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next explainer.